How much bread do you eat in a year? According to studies, the average American consumes 53 pounds of bread every year. These commercial breads you buy in stores contain industrial additives such as potassium bromate, an ingredient that has been linked to kidney stones and thyroid cancer, or the chemical azotocarbonamide/ACA, which when baked has been linked to cancer. Whilst the possibility for these chemicals to cause serious problems is very slim, why take the chance? Today, I'll be showing you my ultimate bread recipe that I've spent hours researching and retesting. But before we start making the bread, let's talk about the history of bread. Bread was invented around 8000 BCE in ancient Egypt. It was made by mixing crushed cereal grains and water to create a thick paste. This paste would then be spread on a stone and cooked by the sun into a flatbread. People have speculated that our ancestors may have wrapped this bread around roasted meat. Bread has been adapted differently in every part of the world. With the spread of agriculture and farming during the Stone Age, bread became a staple food that was cheap and easy to make, though it wasn't until the early 19th century when bread had its most drastic change. It was discovered that the fermentation process of bread could be dramatically shortened from 18 hours to 3 to 4 hours. This was made possible with small amounts of chemicals called oxidants. These chemicals would not only make the bread rise faster, but would also create an overall better result. Currently, bread is sold everywhere and is a staple of grocery shopping. It is an over $200 billion industry, and healthier alternatives of bread have also been made to meet the growing demand for healthier foods. Let's start making the bread. First, we have to make our tangzhong paste. This will help give our bread a longer shelf life. Add water and flour in a small boiling pot and stir until you don't see any dry bits of flour left. Now, transfer your pot over to your stove set on medium heat and continuously whisk your mixture. Soon, it should begin thickening. Once it has the consistency of pudding, transfer your paste into a dry bowl and let it cool down to room temperature. The reason why the water and flour thickens is because of a reaction called starch gelatinization. When starch granules are heated, they expand and swell, though this can only happen if there is a liquid to activate the flour. Let's move on to our dough. First, add all your dry ingredients, bread flour, dry milk, sugar, salt, and yeast in a large bowl. Lightly whisk them until they are fully combined. Now, add your wet ingredients, warm water, eggs, butter, and your tangzhong paste that we made earlier. With all these ingredients, you can either knead them by hand or use a stand mixer attached with a dough hook. I like to use a stand mixer to make kneading easier and faster. You can tell your dough has been fully kneaded if it springs back when you lightly poke on it. Now, roll your dough into a ball, put it in a large bowl, and let it rest for 1 hour in a warm environment or until it has doubled in size. During this time of resting, the yeast in your bread dough consumes the sugars and produces CO2 gas, causing your dough to expand. This process is also called proofing and can be sped up with warmth, though if it is too warm, your yeast can die. Once your dough is done rising, punch out all of the gas and transfer it to a lightly floured surface. You can shape your bread however you want, but this is how I like to shape mine to get feathery layers. First, split your dough into thirds. Take one of the thirds and roll it into a rectangle for rolling pin. Then take these two flaps and fold them inwards. Repeat the step. Now roll your strip of dough into a cylinder and place it in your prepared loaf pan. To prepare your pan, use a pastry brush and brush softened butter all around the pan, including the sides. Now let your bread dough rise for 40 minutes and begin preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Once your dough has risen, place it in the now preheated oven for 45 minutes. 30 minutes into the baking process, take your bread out and brush it with honey water. You can make this by mixing 15 ml of honey and 5 ml of water together. Now put it back in the oven and let it bake for the remaining 15 minutes. After fully cooking, take it out of the oven and let it cool for another 10 minutes. Now, your bread is finally done.